And welcome to the Football 360 Show, the fastest 48 minutes of football talk on the planet. I am JP Rock. He is Matt Bierman. Go to find out all things Football 360 Show at football360show.com. And of course, you can catch us live on YouTube and X, as well as Spotify and Apple Music as well. Matt, how you doing today?
Doing great, JP. Doing it from the home studios here at Elite Football. So we'll see
Yeah.
how it goes. Hopefully, everybody can hear us and
Yeah.
look sharp.
Well, they'll be able to hear us for sure. It's a little blurry, but that's all right. Like I said, we're holding it together with gum and duct tape and trying to give you guys our we didn't want to miss a week because we're that dedicated. And
Well, it's too
so
important a time of year to miss anything, right?
it really is, man. Where can people reach you on social media?
Elite Football on Instagram, or Elite Football Academy on Instagram, and Elite Football on X.
And you can reach me at JP Rock MO on X, JP Rock Scout You on Instagram. And of course, I'm coming to you from the Game Plan Strategies Studio, gpsfootball.org. Check it out, helping you navigate your football future and taking the right steps that you need to get where you want. And of course, you said it was very important. Offered.com, getoffered.com is another tool to use to help you. And just had your middle school combine, which was very successful. And hopefully, a lot of those kids are doing it. And I'm telling you what, we're about 2 weeks out from the elite football combine, the high school
No,
one,
man,
the the
it's
big
starting to fill up.
the big
It,
daddy. So, where can people go to go ahead and register for that and find out more info?
EliteFootballCombine.com or EliteFootball.net. And actually, tonight we have our first combine training class, so that'll get
Nice.
going tonight. I believe it's 7:30. So that's just a good way to come in, pre-test yourself on the 40, learn the tips and tricks on the 40, the broad, the vertical leap, and as well as the pro agility. So really, it comes down to the 40 starts, and then the pro agility are the two big ones as far as from a testing
And it's
perspective.
so important. It's so important that you learn the technique as you said from the start. And when you're running your 40, the start, I mean the whole thing's important, but your start and your finish are so important, right? We see guys and saw it
Yes.
at the middle school combine where you had guys got a good start, a little wobbly in the middle, a little side to side action, right? And they start swaying. And then unfortunately there were some young men who jogged it in, right? At the
Yeah,
end.
you can't do that. You got to
No.
finish. I mean, I always tell the funny story. I think I probably told it before on the show. I don't think he'll mind me
Nah,
telling the
go
story,
ahead.
but Lamarck Brown, one of
Yep.
our kids years ago, who's now coaching down in the in Tampa Bay area, really remarkable player.
Mhm.
he's a huge prospect coming out of high school, but
Oh, yeah.
he was pre transfer portal era, and I had him at the at Minnesota Pro Day, and so he had done all his training. So we go up there, everybody's nervous, all that stuff. He runs his first 40, and it was a good 40, but I had timed it on the side, not nearly as fast as I thought it was going to be, and he kind of slowed up he had a good start, just kind of slowed up at the finish, and so he walked by, and I had some choice words for him, and I told him basically, if you don't finish and touch that blank wall down there, you're going to be walking back to St. Louis. Because sometimes with athletes, you got to be very abrupt. You got to tell them what
Right.
you want to do and
Yeah.
tell them how to do it. And so I did. And you know what? That next time he ran his 40, and the way those things are set up at the pro days, there's scouts all along the line, so they're tested. There's a
Oh, yeah.
starter for the first 10, and then you got your guys for the finish, and everybody's doing their hand times. So they all kind of call out what they got. And he ran so fast on the second one, there was such a difference between one and two that they made him rerun a
Run it
third.
again.
I've been
Yeah.
to probably 30 pro days over my years. And you know what? It's the only time I've ever seen anybody asked to run their 40 again.
Right.
So it worked. And so he touched the wall, and we drove back to St. Louis together.
Yeah. I mean,
We got picked up by the Falcons that year.
yeah, great example. And of course, the NFL combine's coming up this weekend. And I know a lot of people are excited about that. And, we talk about the elite combine. And what's fascinating is I was going through the roster and I saw a lot of familiar names, right? And guess what their first combine was? You know, it was the
Yes.
combine. Guys like Dominic Orange is going to be there. Keyshawn Elliott, right? Bo Stevens from Iowa. You know, those guys all
These guys are all that did our, yeah, right. It's unbelievable.
as babies, right? They were like sophomores in high school, and I invited them, and they came. And so, guess what? Through that and their college experience, this is not going to be anything new to them. This is gonna be like, oh, here we go. I've been testing for all since I've been doing testing since my freshman or sophomore season in high school, going to the combine, and you like to think that stuff help push them and helped elevate them and kept them going. I mean, it's really up to you. Everything that you do is up to you. You can go to a combine, you can test whatever, but unless you keep that mindset and keep pushing and have that drive and determination to keep getting better, it doesn't matter.
Does not matter. You're 100% correct, JP. I mean, it's one of those things with kids. You got to get out of your comfort zone, and I think like the kids at the middle school combine last week, they're taking that first step. But we've seen far too many times where kids show up as juniors and seniors, they're not even prepared because they're so nervous
Right.
about what they're doing, and then they feel uncomfortable, and then they don't perform well. And I
Right.
think that becomes pretty problematic, right? If you're in that scenario.
Yeah, and what was good is you saw the little guys be nervous, right? I call them little guys; they're middle school guys. Some are eighth graders going to be heading into their freshman season, but they were nervous at the beginning, and you could see it, right? Some of them were like
Yep.
carrying their card with them, weren't following instruction, right? Put your card here, put your gear. But toward at by the end, they were all grizzled veterans. You know what I mean? They had the
100%.
confidence had the confidence. They all tested, very well. They performed well in the drills and in one-on-ones. I did multiple reports on these guys, and they're excited to get that as well. And I'm telling you what, the future's bright in the region and the city of St. Louis, because you had guys coming from as far away as like Waynesville, Missouri, and Columbia, Missouri, like that, as they should. If you're out there, you're in Kansas City, Columbia, Springfield, Southwest, the Boot Hill. Why wouldn't you come to this? And
I would agree. Like if you're gonna want to compete against guys from around the region, right? Because that's ultimately who you're being recruited against.
yeah,
That's your recruiting pool. Um, I think taking the blinders off and getting that Google view, right? That Google
yep,
Earth view,
yep,
and seeing that you're not just going against the guys in your conference or the crosstown rival, which
hmm,
oftentimes a lot of those guys are just not at the level that they need to be, right? So,
yep,
and so you're going to be viewed on a larger scale. So I do think it's a good idea to get yourself out of that comfort zone, like go against guys from around the greater region. The kids that come in here and train, they're really, really adept at like, and good at being in a position to where they can come in here and train with kids from around the region, right? We have kids that come in every weekend from all different places, and I
hmm,
get like going to a 7-on-7 tournament, playing kids from different areas is great, but I think training side by side and then competing in a combine setting is probably a little bit more emblematic of the recruiting process of when you get onto a summer camp or a mega camp when you're on the campus and you're tested against these guys and you're drilling with them in that environment where it's really not so much competition as much as it is, one-on-ones, which is a form of competition, but it
yeah,
is different. It's just a different setting. And so oftentimes you are going to be viewed through that camp setting, which plays a huge role. Obviously, your film is the most important, but I would argue the camps are probably right next to it where they can get their eyeballs on you, first and foremost. And so how do you prepare for that? You go to combines, you get tested, you get used to being tested, and you realize you're never a finished product and you got to keep working at it.
yeah, absolutely. And what's cool is you see a lot of these guys who they're meeting these guys from around the state, around the region, around from other states, and they develop friendships at these combines, and they follow each other on social media and they root for each other. And if they're getting recruited by a coach, that coach would be like, hey coach, I saw this kid at a combine, the elite combine that I competed at. This guy's a stud. You should check him out, right? So
Hmm.
there's a networking component that's there as well.
Yes. Oh, you start to realize who's who, right? And you get to
Yep.
meet these guys, and then you're training side by side with each other or competing with each other. And you're right, it becomes kind of a club. I mean, I look at like my niece as a high level golfer, and she's finished her college career, now she's going into her professional career. And if you look at like that scenario, it's real similar to how this is set up with football. The same families and kids that she was going to tournaments with
Yep.
and doing all these things as a youngster, a lot of kids have fallen off, but the same people that you see year in and year out are the ones she's now competing with to go on the LPGA tour. We're in college. They all know each other. So there's a friendly competition to it. But there's also something to be learned from those other people because they're in the same battle you're in. And most other people don't understand what you're going through. So being around other people that understand it, I think makes a world of difference. And so you can learn from each other, and iron sharpens iron.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And it's interesting, I'm sure you're hearing from a lot of kids, and I'm getting a lot of kids contact me because it's getting closer to the combine, and they're like, "Hey, how do I get to the combine? How do I, can I have an invite or whatever?" Because they realize it. And there's another event that's going to be happening in a few couple of weeks after, or a week after the elite combine, that some kids are being invited to. And the funny thing and the cool thing about that is, it's a national road show that comes through town. Hasn't been in St. Louis for a few years. They went to Kansas City a couple years in a row. And then last year they went to Nashville for whatever reason, just skipped Missouri altogether. But they're going to be here. And so kids are getting invites to come to this, including your son, a big time quarterback, Braden Bierman, who got an invite to the what is it called? Is it the UA Next?
UA Next. Yeah, I got to tell you, like, it's an interesting thing because I don't know. I mean, like you said, I remember you went to it the last time because it's UC
I've
Report
been to.
and UA Next.
Yep, I've been to
They
many.
do a really good job with it because it's one of those things that it is. And I don't know how it's set up this year. I think they have a middle school one the first day, like a general.
Yeah, it's just
First day, and then you can earn it. You can earn an invite to the next
right,
day.
right.
Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, they have like the young kids on the one day, and then the next day. But you have to be nominated to get it. Kids are asking me how do I get to it? Go to their website and click on nominate and see if you can get in there. But what's fascinating is that all these guys that I'm seeing getting invites to this national event. It's a showcase, I guess, or is combine maybe. I'm not sure what it's called.
Mhm.
UA Next. What's fascinating about that is all these guys getting the invites are guys that we've found or I've found and invited to the elite, or you've had an elite, or you train from like when they're freshmen, sophomores, eighth graders,
Mhm.
and been reporting on them. And so now they're getting a national exposure, which is very cool.
Well, yeah, and I think to your point, like I think you get nominated by somebody, or they just
Yep.
go and find you, right? And so
Yeah.
I can tell you personally from like my experience with my son, I thought it'd be cool, but I was kind of on our radar, but not really, only because he's a freshman,
Right.
and most of the guys there are going to be rising junior, rising seniors, right? And
Yep.
obviously some sophomores as well, some freshmen, but not nearly as I think my experience of what I remember from in the past is it's more older guys.
Yeah. Very few
Um,
freshman guys.
and so I could tell you the process, like, uh, I believe, I don't know. I mean, one of our coaches had nominated a few kids, so his
Mhm.
name was probably on a list of kids, but I don't know how that goes. But long
Well, it
story
helps. Yeah, it helps that he has offers.
yes, that does. Right. And so,
Mhm.
but the way the process worked is he got a guy followed him from the camp maybe a month ago. Right.
Mhm.
And then the instructions were follow back. Right. So you follow back, which obviously indicates, hey, I'm going to send you a message at some point. We have
Right.
to be following each other to communicate. Right. And I'm sure, my God, being that guy in that position, and you and I know if you're trying to do this across the country, can you imagine the social media stuff he has to put up with, like with
Oh yeah,
the DMs being closed or just
correct. Oh no,
tracking
yeah.
kids' names down?
Right.
My
Well,
God,
his name is Demetric Warren, I do believe, and he follows me
yes,
on social media
yeah,
because I have a huge following of kids who are constantly posting their stuff, or I'm retweeting or posting. So that's helpful, to be able to have
yeah.
that kind of a source to find these kids, and that's a smart move as well. And I'm sure there's other guys across the country that they have to follow on social media to try to find these kids. And of course, Braden, who is smart, and besides posting his offers, he posts his training videos as well. And so, I repost that and stuff, and that sort of thing really helps. But yeah,
I
it's pretty
think, yeah,
exciting.
JP, I think a lot of people believe that you're just going to operate in silence and then it's going to happen, right? And I think
Yeah.
there's a line of doing too much. Like I think Braden's 1 week, one to two videos a week of him training, like depending on the off season, and then there'll be some silent periods during the season, like then you'll post some game highlights and stuff like that. But the reality of it is if you're not posting and putting information, staying relevant, somebody else is going to, right? And so the other thing that we're getting going on right now is you're starting to see kids are getting invites to college camps, right?
Right.
Because the summer camps are starting to come out. And so
Yep.
the same type of scenario, I would say, like for instance, Braden got a invite the other day from what I would say would be probably a cattle call. Most college camps in the summer, to some degree, are going to be a cattle call, right?
Correct. Yep.
What my experience is, and we could talk about this, is there's some that you have to be very careful of. Like if it's a university that's got like a mega camp, great, they're gonna have a ton of schools there. But if you start seeing camps that are like $200 and $300 that are college related, you've
Yeah.
got to be a little wary, only because 9 times out of 10, that same college may have their own camp and it might be $50, right? And
Yep.
so you have to be a little cognizant of like what those camps are, why you're going to them, who's inviting you, all of that. So I think it's a smart move. Kids will post like, hey, I was invited to such and such camp. I think that's good. But also remember that you're probably one of 10,000 kids that got that. But I
Yeah.
won't say on the DM side of things, I've watched my son, like he'll send me screenshots when he gets stuff like, hey, what am I supposed to do when I get this, right? Like, so he got
Right.
that UA Next invite, and he sent me a screenshot and said, hey, what do we do here? Like, and I said, well, you register and you go. Like, so
Yeah.
that's one of those things where it's like you go through that, but like on a college camp one, for instance, he got one the other day from a pretty big school, and the guy said, hey, we would love to see you at our camp this summer. Okay, the recruiting guy that follows him and has sent him numerous things the last 2 years, and he said, we would really like to see you this summer. I'm going to get you the best dates that we would like to have you come.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it's got a little graphic of all their dates. Now listen, this college or university it's out there. It would be a upper stratosphere like school that I would want him to explore. But truthfully, I don't know that it's a school that I want to send him to the camp right yet. Like it's a big SEC, like big one, big granddaddy, one. But
So Alabama
my
invited
point,
him, huh?
yeah. so one of those things where you get it. My God, that's really cool. And they've sent him things like that are nice. That
Yep.
definitely not in the offer stage, right?
Right.
But
It's a
like kicking
dance,
the
man.
tires, like kicking the tires, like, hey, come
Yeah.
down here. I think that'd be pretty cool. And so to me, we have to be cognizant though of his time with his team this summer, all the things that he's got going on, and then also be aware of like how much wear and tear you're putting on him during the camp season. So you got to be very strategic about what camps you go to, you don't go to. I would love for him to go down there, but is it in the cards this year? I don't know. I mean, it could
Yeah.
be, but
Yeah.
but it is. But then again, you can also in the same breath, there's a school that is a small school, right? That is now like asking him to come, like, which, so you got to play. You don't know where you're going to end up, especially with this transfer portal. So you have no idea where you're going to end up. Like 4 years from or 3 years from now, it could be a completely different game. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I will say that yeah, you do have to be careful with camps. Just because a camp is on a college campus does not necessarily mean that it is that college's camp. You need to, do your homework to find out
Correct.
what's what. As far as like posting, on social media, you don't want to be that guy who posts, your highlights every day. I've seen guys like that. You've seen guys like that who will not only post it every day, will post it multiple times a day. Right. And I'm telling you what, that does nothing but makes you annoying, and it will actually turn off college coaches because they'll think that there's something wrong with you if you post that too much. You do have to be strategic. There are plans that you need to follow and do that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think it's very cool, yeah, that he's got a camp invite to there, and I would be really tempted to go if I were you. Just if nothing else for the experience, because it's got to be it's a pretty big deal experience wise to get that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Especially as a
mean,
young guy. As a young guy, you're right. You get in there,
yep,
kick the tires. You don't have much to lose at that
you
point.
got nothing to lose.
Right.
You got nothing to lose. You got the experience. You'll probably learn a lot, because if it's that high level of a school, they're going to be bringing some dogs in, right? To that you're gonna see, you're gonna learn from, and and again, most of these camps like this are, like you said, cattle calls, right? They're beating the bushes. They're looking for guys. I mean, but I'm telling you what, and you can speak to this, being a quarterback's probably got to be the most difficult position to be recruited at in 2026, and in this era of college football due to the transfer portal.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, like we have kids that I think, are surefire Division One guys 3, 4 years ago,
Yeah.
and they're going Division Two. And I think
Yeah.
the tough thing is like, and again, like it's also like you might even be the guy that if it gets lucky and gets to go the Division One route right out of high school, and then
Hmm.
you get there and figure out that you're going to have to transfer 2 more times before you're even going to get on the field, right? And I
Yep.
think that is that's the tough part, especially if you're like a loyal individual that really wants to be a part of a team and build something. I know there's places for guys like that in college football, but they're becoming fewer and far between. And so
Right.
I just I it's not easy, and I don't know. I even with my own son, to be honest with you, like you don't want to put expectations on the process, because if you fall short, like I know like you should be thinking like, oh, we want to go as good and high as we can.
Right.
But realistically, is you want to go to where you can play, where you have a fair opportunity, and then let the chips fall where they may. And I think
Right.
that's the hard thing with college football, especially in particular quarterback. There's only maybe one guy. They're not bringing a couple high school guys in unless there's a situation going on at that school. So you're probably coming in with a bunch of guys that are 22 and 23 years old, and you're the young guy, and hopefully you can learn from them. But the truth be told, I don't know that it's a great time to be a college quarterback, like getting recruited as a college quarterback.
Right. High school quarterback. Yeah. No, it's really not. You really have to have an open mind, right? Be open to all of your options. You got a lot of options. You have to know that you have 5, 6 years to make it where you want to be. So don't be down. And man, I'm telling you what, the key is really perseverance. If you don't have the perseverance or that mindset that I'm gonna stick it out and I'm gonna keep going, and you're gonna run full speed, hit a wall, right? You just step to the side, start running again, because that's really what it's like with the process, and not even just for quarterbacks, but all high school football recruits, right? It is a grind, and I see these kids who they get offers or they sign. In fact, ran across a young man who signed with the D1 school. Saw him, hadn't seen him for a while. He's wanting to train again, and I don't know what he's been doing, but it looked like his first time, right? He showed up and it's like, did you forget? Did you what you been doing? What have you been doing the
You
past
can
few
do it.
months? Yeah, you know?
And so that's the other thing is we've talked about this before, but like JP, these kids that are in high school, whether you're a sophomore, junior, senior, or even a freshman,
Yeah.
What you have to understand is, especially those guys that are seniors, what you have to understand is right now you are in like la la land because you think, oh, well, I'm a high school football player. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But
Hmm.
the guys you're going to be competing with in a few years on your team or guys on the other team are literally in the middle of doing 4 days, 5 days a week of conditioning with their college football team. They're
Right.
getting nutrition. They're getting all the things they need. Plus, they're able to spend time with their coaches, doing film work, watching film. They're doing things that are going to be separating them from you because they're learning how to do it and learning at a higher level.
Right.
And then you are sitting back and going, well, yeah, I'm gonna go play two other sports this offseason. This I'm gonna do
Yeah.
basketball and track.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm not gonna work out. I'm not gonna train. I'm gonna wait to do it when I get there this summer. Well,
Mm.
all those guys have been doing this as a full-time vocation. This is what their job is.
Right.
And if that's not your, I'm not saying in high school it has to be your full-time job, but what we have seen
Close.
is the kids that come in and work their butts off and train constantly are in here all the time. And then those guys get to college and they're used to training. And so they feel good about the process and they're not, working is not hard for them, right? It's not a foreign concept to them. And I think so many of these guys that kind of fall through the cracks in the recruiting, not fall through the cracks in the sense of like don't get noticed, they fall through the cracks and they shouldn't probably be the guys that got the offers because they're not workers.
Yeah.
Those guys get to college and then they're the guys that transfer 3 times in 3 years because
Yeah.
now they have an out because they can leave. They're not necessarily transferring for a better situation. They're transferring because they know they get there and they realize like, oh crap,
Right.
this is not what I thought it was. And I think that there's a large, I wonder if like we pulled a lot of the guys in the transfer portal, if they were honest, like, like in the, if they were honest, they would say
Hmm.
they were leaving because they needed a better opportunity. But if you drill down one more layer, most of them are looking for a new opportunity because they can't compete where they're at.
Right.
Right?
Oh, of
They
course.
can blame somebody else, but they got to blame themselves. And it probably started their freshman year of high school.
Right. Oh yeah, and you see guys who are transferring out as freshmen, they're just there and then they're gone because they see the log jam. They see they're not going to get that opportunity. So and they have the opportunity to go elsewhere. But yeah, I mean, man, you got to be consistent, right? Consistency is key. What no matter what it is, whether it's school, football, you own a business. You talk to, you see these billionaires and they're like, well, they're not real smart guys, and some of them will admit, I'm not the smartest guy. I just kept showing up. I was consistent, right? Same thing applies with football, high school, or college, whatever level. If you're that consistent guy, like you said, guys that show up and train consistently all the time, those are the successful ones. Those are the guys. And I just recently saw a situation where there's a guy, college, gonna be a freshman, gonna go up against the guy who's on the way up, right? Younger guy who's got offers, and he got a shock, right? Because this younger guy who's hungry, who's looking for more, put it to him, right? He's already signed. He's already going to be going to college in June. Got it put to him, right, by this sophomore, quite frankly, right? Because he's on the
That's the way
ascendant.
it works.
Yeah.
And now imagine going against a senior in college who's
Oh
hungry trying to go to
man,
the NFL,
right.
right?
23-year-old guy, right? who's you're going to show up and he's going to show you what for. So that's why you can't. I mean, you can't take long stretches off. I wouldn't take any stretches off. I wouldn't take any time off. But man, you can't take long stretches off and think you're gonna flip that switch and it's gonna come back to you.
I will tell you, like back in the day, I'll never forget. Blaine Gabbert, spent numerous off seasons back home training,
Hmm.
and we had one of our young kids had just been drafted the year before, I think in the 5th or 6th round. So he had finished his rookie season, and so he came in. Blaine was in, and he said, "Hey, where's so and so at?" I said, "Oh, he's on a vacation." He looked at me. He's like, shook his head. He's like, "Vacation?"
Hmm.
He goes, "For what? For what?" And he goes,
Right.
"He's going to learn." He goes, "He's going to learn. He's going to figure it out." He's like, "There's no time for that." He's
Yeah.
like, he's gonna have to make that team next year. Being drafted in the fifth or sixth round doesn't do you a whole lot of good when you don't know what they're bringing in next year, right? I
Right.
mean, yeah, I'm not saying you can't enjoy it, but you got to spend a significant part of your off season training and developing and not taking your eye off the ball, because again, football has a shelf life. Your shelf life, say, is you're here in high school. Okay, you got your 4 years,
Yeah.
right, in high school. If everything stays healthy, you might get 2 years of playing in college if you're lucky, 3, and then if you can extend it to another 2 or 3, which is the average, if you get to make it to the NFL, like it's very difficult. Then you look at Blaine Gabbert, and people are like, oh, his career was this and that. He lasted 12 years in the NFL.
Amazing.
You don't last
Right.
12 years in the NFL if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing and showing up ready to go. You can't walk in the door and assume, I've played football my whole life, I want to be a really good football player. No, because everybody else there is playing at a higher level,
Yeah.
and they need to, they need to see you play at that high level as well. And so, I mean, God bless his soul. The guy passed away. That Rondell
Moore.
Is it Rondell Moore from
Yeah.
Purdue?
Rondell Moore. Yeah.
There's a clip going around on the internet with him and J.J. Watt when he was with the Cardinals. So he was like a 4th round pick.
Yeah.
And he dropped the ball, and I thought it's a really cool clip because he walks over to him and he said, "Hey, you good?" And you could tell this Rondell Moore is just visibly stressed. He's all upset with himself. He dropped the ball. And what's interesting was, you think normally someone would say, "Hey, it's okay. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Get the next one."
Yeah.
J.J. Watt looked at him and goes, and he's another guy that lasted, 12 plus years in the league.
Right.
And he looks at him and he goes, "Well, that is in your job description. You have to catch the ball."
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so you know what he said to him? He looks at him and he says, you should stay after practice and catch some more balls so it doesn't happen again. So It wasn't like, "Oh, hey, buddy, you're good. Don't worry about it." No, it's like, no, because J.J. Watt understands the severity of those guys not catching balls. If you start making that a habit, you're gone. And then that guy knows it. And so obviously that it's a tough environment to survive in and make a living.
It is. But like you said, a great one. 12 years in the NFL. Chase Daniel's another one. You know what I mean? That's a heck of a lifestyle to have in the NFL for 12 years. You're making good money. You're playing the sport you love, and there's so much on the line now with the high school kids. Think about it. What guys are getting paid to play college football right out of high school. I mean, it's amazing. Did you see that one? I can't remember his name because I don't really follow, but there's a freshman running back at Miami, University of Miami, right down in Florida.
Yeah.
So I guess his base salary or his base NIL is like $2 million. And then he gets $500,000 for every year he's going to stay there at Miami. Right. So that's add on. Plus, he's getting a Miami Dolphins luxury box thrown in there, and on top of that, he gets one of the donors' yacht every weekend.
Yeah.
So hey, work, okay, train, contact, Game Plan Strategies, gpsfootball.org, getoffered.com, right? Use these tools. Because it's not just, hey, maybe I can get offered or I can get signed. It's you can change you and your family's lives, okay?
100%.
By doing what you have to. A young man who we know very well, Tion Gray, right? I was thinking about Tion. God bless him. Him and his family found Tion when he was a freshman at Carnahan High School, which I don't believe exists anymore. Right. And so had him come in. You've told the story many times. He's one of the young guys who came in to train. I'm like, Tion, come in here, man. You got a lot of potential. Train. Comes into trains. Just so happens there's a SEC coach, right? Whose son is there training that day. And Tion kept going from there. And so now he's at Notre Dame, right? And I'm sure he's getting paid well. And so
you don't leave Oregon to go to Notre Dame for less money.
Correct. And so,
Right.
here's the thing. Tion and his family, they weren't wealthy people, right? Like everybody else, life's a struggle. And so it just makes me feel good to know that we were part of that, and helping him get him on his way. And to this point, now he did all the work, right? He made
Right.
himself into what, but it's nice to just, that's a great story. And I'm thinking to myself,
Yeah.
how
You
many how
still.
many other kids are out there that could take advantage of that, who really need that,
Uh,
you know?
well, JP. I mean, here's the thing, though. Okay, but here's the crazy thing. For every Tion or guy like that we've helped along the way, who've been involved in their story.
Mhm.
Um, and I think the tough part is we don't go and bugle all of it. We may talk about it anecdotally here on
Yeah.
stories here and there. We
Just
don't document and put everything
no.
online for everybody to see. And that's why I think it was funny. I told you that, we posted a thing about having 4 players on the Jets. We have 3 players on the Lions, right? So
Right.
statistically, between 2 teams in the NFL, we got 7 guys that have trained through our program. And yes, we did develop them because they're here. They spent an inordinate amount of times at our facility. But
Right.
the funny thing is because in this era, because if we don't put stuff out and get everybody's business out on the online, then
Right.
it's assumed that you didn't do it. Whereas you see guys that do something once or twice with somebody and they go, oh yeah, we train them. Like, no, literally these guys train since they've been little boys.
Right.
They've been in here and we know that we made an impact in their life, right? Now are we now, and the funny thing is they still, all of them had come back into the facility as professionals.
Yeah.
So I think that speaks volumes. But and then it was interesting is and then at that time when they came back as professionals, we had better services we could offer them through our medical and things like that with our partnerships that really helped them kind of stay healthy. Right. I had Mike Neese was in here yesterday Sunday. He's with the Lions,
Mhm.
and
Good guy.
he and I were talking. There's a bunch of kids in there, and he had just done about an hour worth of body work with Natalie Soto, who's one of our medical professionals that works in the building. She does like a lot of neurological body and reset and vagal nerve stuff. And he
Mhm.
looked at me. He says, "I'm going to be honest with you." He's like, "This stuff." He's like, "I feel as though it has been a game changer for me." He's like, "It has definitely helped propel me." Now he's going to like year 5 in the NFL. Okay, so he's like, "Listen, stuff like that and things you have going on in here have helped me. The lifting and the running and all that stuff
Right.
is there. And then getting the snaps in and working with an O-line guy every so often. All that stuff is great. That's
Yeah.
kind of like the base level. But
Right.
then you find the other things that work for your body and one
Oh,
being,
man.
this extra work, then it's like,
Yep.
oh, okay. But I think people misjudge what all of this really is. You and I have spent an inordinate amount of time talking and helping families along the way. I don't know that we put it out there as much as we probably could or should. But
No.
at the end of the
Mm.
day, a lot of times it's between us, right? And I think
Right.
you look at like a situation with like Tion, as you described. That I'm a big believer. I have a heavy faith. Nothing happens by accident, right? And so
Right.
that day, I mean, I still can picture watching him get his first offer
Yeah.
as a Division One, defensive coordinator in the SEC.
And he had no idea.
No, he walked over
He
to him,
had no idea.
and so you see that, but that domino got knocked over, and now
Yep.
it's just a chain reaction
Right.
years later. That it is great to see, and it's awesome to be a part of it. But at the same time, like where we're different is our hands are not like this and say, well, come on, give me something back
Right.
now. Come on. Like, and,
Exactly.
and I think, and that's what it would really disgust me as I see there's people that played no role in any of this. And now they spend their time, getting in these kids' ears about being their agent or being this or that, which
Yeah.
again, there's reputable agencies that you should be having your kid go to, right? Because at the end of the day, they can help you when you're in that position. But
Yeah.
you're right. You can make life-changing money coming out of high school. Think
Out
about
of
Blaine
high
Gabbert,
school.
12 years in the league.
Yeah.
Imagine what his life would look like, though, if
Oh,
he would have
man.
been able to capitalize on those first 4 years. That
Right.
kid coming out of high school would have made $3 to $4 million coming out of high school with how ready
Yeah.
he was and how big and strong he was, right?
Easily. Yep.
I
Oh,
mean,
easily.
easily.
Easily. Yeah, I mean it's wild and it's crazy and no, it's just great to be a part of that and we don't we don't toot our own horns, we tell a story like that out of joy and happiness to see that and to try to light a fire under some other kids, who might be watching or listening, that they can do the same thing, but it's got to be that effort. You got to put that effort in. You got to be consistent with it, and just do what needs to be done. There's a
Uh,
bunch of kids like that, and Tion came in and he was consistent with his training and when I first met him, he was about 6'4", 220, 225 pounds, and now he's a 6'5", 335 pound defensive lineman. Came to the elite combine, just like Dominic Orange and Keyshawn Elliott and Bo Stevens. And I'm sure he's going to be one of those guys.
Jeremiah Love.
Jeremiah Love. Oh man, the list is long, and I'm always on your case. But as you can see behind you, right, all the stuff there, you got so much stuff going on, right, that you don't necessarily have the time to make the massive master list of people who've come to the elite combine and gone on to play college football and professional football. But the names are really endless, and if you just, I mean, just a few off the top of the head, Brady Cook, Cody Schrader, Jeremiah Love, like you said, these guys that we've all just mentioned, and it's just a massive list. And with the elite combine coming up again, I know that the national one's great. You get some cool free swag, you get some nice shoes. I do believe last time I was at it, you got some nice shoes and stuff. But really, as far as something that's gonna help you, right, help you learn, help you on that path. I mean, the elite combine, come on, 18 years now. Do believe this is the 18th year, the granddaddy of the Midwest. And so highly recommend it. That's coming up, and you really shouldn't miss it. Really, if you are a football player that aspires to play college football, you really shouldn't miss it.
At least see where you're at, right? And
Yes.
put yourself an idea of where you're at. I know there'll be some baseball and stuff going on, some spring sports, but a lot of guys, at the end of the day, like if you want to play college football, there's only so many opportunities you have that are going to allow you to get your name out there. There's only so many opportunities that are going to allow you to be in an environment where you can, put yourself out there. And I think while I applaud, playing a bunch of other sports, great, fine. But do not, if you're doing that, do not lose sight of what your main thing is. And if your main thing is baseball and you just play football, great. That's awesome.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is that you cannot ignore that main thing. You got to keep the main thing the main thing. And I think there too many guys use other sports as an excuse not to have to do what's required. And again, if you are doing that, that is your early indication that you are just probably going to be a high school athlete, which is fine. There is no issue with that. There's a lot of men walking around our society that just played in high school, which is great. And there's not room for everybody in college. There's no issue with that. But if you say, and that's what we always are talking to the people that say they want to do it, right? That want to be college football players and they want to have that experience. Then if you do, then do it, right? Yeah. Then do it, but go full stop on it. Go all the way onto it and allow yourself to be vulnerable, allow yourself to make mistakes, allow yourself to learn from others and put yourself out there. And you know what? The beauty of it is you may fall short coming out of high school from where you want to be, but the beauty of it is you could be Trinidad Chambliss, entering his sixth year, probably getting paid $4 million to play college football. And who would Trinidad Chambliss would have thought that at Ferris State 3 years ago? No way.
No way. And you're seeing it. I mean, you're seeing it all over the place. You'll win a national championship. You had no idea. You were stuck at the University of California, right? Things are looking grim. Next thing you know, you're winning a national championship, and where do you think he's going to go in the draft?
He should be. I mean, I think he'll wow people with his understanding of the game, and athletic, just his overall just prowess as a quarterback. I mean, I think the one knock will be probably like he had a 1 year of high level execution. But to me, I think that speaks volumes about who he is. He came in 1 year, learned that system, and then led that system to a national title
Right.
against some damn good teams. Again, he was that kid at Cal who is playing. He's the kid that's playing in a Class 3 school in Missouri that no one will respect, and then finally gets his shot, right? And then on the national stage, and he's as good, if not better, than all the other guys, right?
Right.
His name was not spoken of very much prior to this year.
No.
And now, I sure wish Mizzou would have got him, but
yeah. Isn't that crazy to think about? He was. I mean, they were trying. They
Yep.
they put their best foot forward, but definitely trying. So as last few minutes as we got going on here, go ahead and tell people how to sign up for the Elite Football Combine, and then tell people about Offered as well.
Yeah, so elitefootballcombine.com is the easiest way. Get on there, get registered. We're probably a little over our halfway mark, and then once it's full, it's full. We'll shut it down. So we're definitely halfway there. Which the way it works, if we're halfway there now, a couple weeks out, that last week will be a mad scramble for people to get registered. So don't wait. Do not wait. And then getoffered.com. The nice thing is too this year. With all the kids at the combine, that's going to be what's tracking the combine results. And then you'll get a combine. You'll each get everybody will get a profile out of it, which they can use for their recruiting. So again, if you go to getoffered.com, easiest way to send outreach to college coaches within literally seconds. I mean, you can send hundreds of emails a month to college coaches and monitor who's looking at it and what they're doing with it.
Right. Absolutely. And I mean, I've started great game plan strategies, football consulting, right? So it's a step to help people, starting from football, every step of the way to get you to that point to where you need to be or you want to be, help you achieve your goals. I tell my clients, get offered, right? I tell them go there because the ability to monitor, who's following you, who to contact. I mean, that's priceless, really, to be able to do that. But yeah, gpsfootball.org, game plan strategies, helping you navigate your football future. Definitely go check it out, and get a free consulting meeting with me, consultation, and I will help you through the steps, help you find out where you're at just from the start, what you need to do to reach your football goals. And just a great show. Oh, also one last thing. If you're playing another sport, you can't make it to the Elite Combine, May 16th in St. Louis, or any of the KC Varsity Combines, which you guys, in St. Louis, you guys are the guys who run that, just like with Lindenwood, right? They have an early bird special if you want to sign up there, $25 off, early bird 25. Use that coupon code kcvarsitycombines.com. But yeah, you go to Elite Combine now, you find out where you're at, like you said, where you're going, you couple months down the road, 2-3 months down the road, you go to KC Varsity, see how you've done, progressed in that time period. Boom, then you're ready for Lindenwood, right? It's like bam, bam, bam. That is my recommendation to everybody. You got to start, then you monitor, and then you go put the show on for the college coaches.
That's the formula.
That's the formula, man. Doesn't miss. And you go to Lindenwood, what is it, lindenwood.edu, or do you know the website for the?
Yeah, I think it is. If you Google Jed Stugart Mega Camp or just Lindenwood Mega Camp, it'll pull up.
It comes up. All right. Well, I mean, that does it for us. It goes by quick, man. We get in opposite rooms, start talking even on the internet, and it just flies on by. But yeah, go ahead and check us out. Matt, where can people reach you at?